Alright, well, the GD Tech Q1 Pro showed up today, and I've already moved the one printer, the Artillery X3 Plus that I had sitting there, and I was thinking about either putting the Q1 Pro there, but I think once the Neptune 4 Plus is done printing, I'm going to move it next to the Max. So I have the Neptune 4 Plus and the Neptune 4 Max, and then put the GD Tech Q1 Pro next to the K1 Max, just because this table is a little bit more solid. Underneath this is just one of these plastic tables and stuff like that, and you have to have access to kind of the back of the machine in order to load the filament. So I think it would be easier trying to load it from right here than it would be trying to get up against this wall and get in like that. But I really want to thank GD Tech for getting this out to me so quickly. Really appreciate them for that. And this is a machine that is kind of going, it's kind of targeted toward the P1S and the X1 carbon bamboos and stuff like that, because this is a fully enclosed printer, and it has roughly the same build size as the P1S and the X1 carbon. The X1 carbon and stuff like that talks about how it has a 256 by 256 by 256 build volume, but unless you go in and tweak some things, you really can't get that full build volume. There's edges out by the build plate that you really can't print at. So they're roughly around the same build volume. I've already looked on Orca Slicer, and Orca Slicer already has a profile for the Q1 Pro, and I've already loaded part of a helmet build into the slicer and sliced it for ASA. The other thing about this one is it is more targeted. You can print PLA, you can print your regular everyday filaments and stuff like that in this one as well. But this is really targeted more toward the engineering grade like filaments, ASA, ABS, polycarbonate, PA, like PA6 carbon fiber, stuff like that. Because the advantage that this machine has over like the X1 carbons and stuff like that is, one, the hot end on this printer will go up to 350 degrees Celsius, and the bed will also go up to, I think, 110 or 120 degrees Celsius. But it also has an internal chamber heater so that you can maintain the temperatures inside the printer in order to print the more challenging filaments like ABS and stuff and polycarbonate that like to warp if they cool down too quickly. So you have to have you really need about 60, 70 degrees Celsius inside the printer to keep the material, I want to say, relaxed, so that when it cools down, it doesn't retract so much that it starts to warp and bend and stuff like that. You'll get ABS parts and polycarbonate parts and things that want to start lifting up off of the bed surface, especially if you're printing something that has a large contact surface on the bed, and nylon and things like that. When they start to cool down, well, they contract, and if you don't kind of keep them warm so that the internal stresses can relax in the filament so it doesn't cool down too quick, it can retract and enough that it'll start literally lifting the build plate off, the metal build plate. It'll start lifting it off the magnet. So that's one of the big benefits to this one, is it has the internal heated chamber, it has the higher degree hot end on it, and all that. So I'm going to start doing helmets and other cosplay stuff. I'm going to start using like ASA and ABS and things like that for the additional strength, but they're also easier to post-process when you're getting them ready for painting and things like that. ABS sands really, really well, it sands a lot easier than PLA and things like that, so that most people I have seen that are printing cosplay stuff in ABS, which is not terribly popular, but most of them all say that they can take parts straight off the printer and immediately go to sanding instead of having to use Bondo and gap filler and things like that in order to smooth it before they start sanding. So that's another benefit. It's just easier. So I think I'm going to wait for that Neptune 4 Plus, and we're going to get it, once it gets finished right here, we're going to move it next to its big brother, and then we're going to put the Q1 Pro right here and get it fired up, get it out of the box, get all the starting steps done, and then I'll probably do maybe one test print, and then I'll get right into trying to print the back lower portion of the Helldivers 2 Bone Snapper helmet from Galactic Armory, and we're going to see how that turns out. My first cosplay part printed in ASA. I'm going to use, I think, this Polymaker Polylite ASA right here, and I've used that very little, but I used it on the Artillery X3 Plus to test if it could print ASA, and this is the ASA part that I printed on that. So it printed very well, and it's strong and got good flex and durability and stuff. ASA is just kind of a little easier to print than ABS, but then I've also got a spool of nylon. I've got some more ABS down here. I've got a roll of Creality ABS back there in the back, and then I've also got two more rolls of ABS, a gray and a red from Creality as well. So, all right, looking forward and can't wait. Y'all follow me on the journey. Thank y'all all for your support, and I appreciate every single one of y'all.